Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Godot Tower Defense tutorial. In this episode we're going to talk about creating waves of enemies like this one, so we can actually define which enemies come out and in which order. Hang on, future me here. Having just edited the video, I'm afraid it's turned into somewhat of a shit show. I really did want to get something out, but as you may be aware, I'm currently having my room redecorated, so I'm surrounded by boxes in the dining room. I recorded this knowing that I'd have to wing some of it, and it kind of shows, so I apologise. I hope you'll forgive me and stick with it, as I'm sure you appreciate. I'm just trying to get the videos out. I just kind of wish I'd spent more time on it. Anyway, back to past me in this shit video. As you can probably see, they're clipping through each other. It's not going to be something we're going to be looking at, probably not in this tutorial series at all, but you get the general idea that we're now able to set a set of enemies that can come through wave by wave, and we'll work on creating multiple waves as well. So it should be good stuff and some good fun. So obviously I'd like to apologise for the delay in this tutorial coming out. You may have spotted some of my posts that we're actually having some work done in the front room in Wide Art Shark Studios, so that's taking a little bit of time, and it means that my computer is currently surrounded by boxes which I'm not going to show you a picture of, which is why there's no webcam today. Secondly, I've just passed 1,000 subscribers, and I am honestly honoured and privileged to everybody that's been giving me really good feedback. You know, there hasn't been any negative feedback. All feedback has been constructive, useful, helpful, and I do genuinely appreciate it. I think Godot has a real lot of momentum right now, and thank you for coming along. Thank you for supporting me. I'm going to keep pushing these videos out. I do intend to show a video saying what the roadmap for this tutorials are. We're not going to run this to a complete game. What I'm actually going to do is going to terminate the tutorial soon. And what I will show you is a series of separate tutorials that aren't actually related specifically to this, but could be used in this game or any game that you're doing. So we will talk about that later on. So let's have a little talk about what I've actually done to the enemies in order to make this wave possible. So if we spin over to the back to Godot, I'll just close that down, and we'll pop back to Godot here. There we go. If I show you the first of all, what I've actually done is if I go to the resource itself, the basic enemy settings, I've added a couple of, if you'll be so kind, not the res, sorry, the actual scripts. Here we go. No, not basic enemy settings. There we go. You'll see that I've added a couple of extra variables here. One called enemy scene, which is the actual scene, or if you want to call it the packed scene, that is one of these assets here. One of the enemy assets. So rather than having it hard coded in the enemy scene itself, we're going to put it in here. So it means that we can use different resource files to say what the enemy is going to look like. And I've also added this delay here to say like how long before after this one has spawned should it wait for the next one to go. And you say I haven't really optimized this right now, but the point being that it's actually going to wait a little bit of time. So if we go over to the enemy itself, you'll see now that I don't have the link to the enemy GLB file now. It's just got this node that's an empty node that will get the child instantiated to, and then add child. Here we go. This is the line here. You can see I've actually added it to the node. So we go, in order to get the mesh to use, we say enemy settings.enemy scene.instantiate, which again goes to the enemy scene here. So it actually uses that to say, well, what enemy type am I going to put there? And that gives us a little bit of flexibility to use different resources for each enemy type. And as you can see, we've got different amounts of health. And if I spin over to the scenes themselves, you'll see there's alongside let's close that down there, close you off. You'll see under resources, excuse me, we always had our basic enemy, and now I've also created a power enemy setting there. So we've got two different enemy types. And if I just click on that one, you'll see over here, this is a little bit stronger. It's got health of 200. It does the same damage right now. Actually, we can change that. But you see, it's using a different enemy type, your enemy UFO green, and it's slower. So we can use this kind of resource farm. This is where the power of Godot, I think this is really, really powerful, allows us to do stuff like this. And if I spin over to main here, what you'll see now in the... Actually, what I might do is I might just pop it out. So this is much better, isn't it? So you can see what's going on. And in our enemy range now, what I've actually done is I've created a variable, an array variable called enemy wave. And it's an array of enemy settings. So that is, quickly flicking around here, that is this class here. Sorry, not that one. Enemy here, this class enemy settings here. So we created an array of enemy settings, and then what it can do is it can go through them and say, right, okay, each time wait for the amount of time that enemy setting has in it, timeout, instantiate it, right, and then set the enemy settings for that enemy itself, right, which we know to be the actual enemy class. Set the enemy settings to the array, and if I just go back to the here and in main, you'll see what I've done over here is I've created an array. Each one, basic enemy, power enemy, power enemy, power enemy, basic enemy, like that. So this has got 10 enemies in this wave. Now this isn't perfect. I can't work out a way. If somebody actually knows the answer to this, that would be great. I can't work out a way to get arrays of arrays in Godot. So if there's somebody that knows how to do that, that would be absolutely wonderful. What I'm going to have to do, I think, is create a class called wave, and then we'll have an array of waves. But we'll come on to that in a moment. So that's that. Actually, then, by doing all of that there, nothing much else has changed. I did have to change the animations. If I quickly spin over to here and then go to the enemy animation player, I had to change the to use the enemy node. All right, so we're scaling this node now, making it visible and invisible. I had the same problems with it popping in and out, that many of you know about. But basically, yeah. So rather than actually directly editing the actual mesh that was in here, I'm editing this node here, which will have as a child when it gets generated that actual the enemy in it, right? So you can see this is the node that's getting scaled up and down, and so it's a very similar thing, and then everything else is fine. You've got spawn and despawn that works the same as it did before. So a fair amount of plumbing there. As always, I will make the source code available in GitHub so you can take a look. I didn't want to talk exclusively about how that all works. We've still got work to do before that we're going to call it complete today, because what I want to be able to do is actually have a state here to say start wave, and we're going to have multiple waves in there. So let's do that. But one thing I wanted to do was just show you a bug that I've spotted. If I actually move this around, it's all fine, but as soon as I hover it over an enemy, we get this error. Okay, it's not showing it here. I'm going to have to redock it, aren't I, to show it. It's saying out of bounds, get index 0 on base array string. Now, what that's actually saying is get the groups that what you've just collided with, right? Get the first element, 0, of the groups that object is collided with. Now, this worked absolutely fine when we had for paths here, because all of these paths belong to the group called path. This is taking us back to quite an old tutorial, but if I look at the scenes down here, picking, say, tile corner, we click on node, click on that one there, and then click on node, and then click on group. So it's already there. You can see it's part of the path group. All right. So this is where these groups are relevant, but the enemies don't have them. The enemies don't have groups. And I thought of a few ways of doing this. I could potentially add a group to every enemy. There's a thing in the raycast itself that lets you say which objects to ignore. But the best way I think we should do this, and again I'm going to pop this out. Let's just stop it running. The way you can actually do this is you can do what's called a mask, a layer mask on this, to say what you should actually cast the ray on. And if we look back to all of our items here, you can see that they should all belong on a specific layer, right? This one belongs on the path layer, makes sense, it's a path. But we also have a layer called layer 2 is enemy, layer 3 is projectiles, layer 4 is a tree, layer 5 is a rock, layer 6 is a crystal, and layer 7 is empty. So the collisions that we're interested in are going to be 1 for the path, 4 for the tree, 5 for the rock, and 6 for the crystal. Now, in order to make that work, the way the mask works is you have to add those values up there. So we can see that the values it's interested in are 1, which is obviously value 1, 4, which has a value of 8, so it's 1 plus 8, which is 9. Then 9 plus 16 is 25, and 25 plus 32 is 57. So our layer mask is 57. That is the mask that we want our raycast to be interested in. So it's only going to be looking for things on 1, 4, 5, and 6. So if we put that mask to 57, so I'll show you where that is in the code. Okay, it's right here. So if we see the raycast physics query.create, if I just control click that, you'll see that it does actually have some options here. Here we go. All we're doing at the moment is setting from and to, but here we have this collision mask. And so what I can actually do is if I go back to our activity button and just put comma 57 at the end there, what that's actually saying is now don't only look for things on the layer masks that are, what was it, 1, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, and now if I click now, if I run this now, I should be able, let's just put 1 down, but I should be able to hover it over, and you can see now it's not blowing up. It is completely ignoring those enemies because they are not on the collision layers that are 1, 4, 5 and 6. These are on 2, and I think obviously the projectiles, that could have been a problem as well. Potentially, I hadn't thought of. Potentially the cannons the projectiles could have intersected with the as I drag, and now that problem's gone away. So that's rather cool, isn't it? So we're done. That's a good little fix there. And let's move on to the actual mask, adding the waves themselves. We only have one wave right now, so let's add a new class that has an array of enemy types. So let's click on. Let's just close that one down there. And under our, I'm almost tempted to make this a resource. I won't for now, but I'll just go under scripts here. Let's just create a new script. It can extend from no. It doesn't need to extend from no, but we'll do it from no, and we'll just call this wave.gd. Okay, and then if we go and click into it, here we go, and this is going to be class name. Oh, class name. Wait, I think I'm just going to do that, and then it's going to have a var. Let's try. I don't think we can do export var, can we? Let's just do var enemies of type array of type enemy settings, and that's it. Okay, that's all that we have right now. Thinking about it, this does have to be a resource. So let's. I think if we just extend resource here, there, and then what we can do now is say at export var. Okay, control S, right? So class name wave var enemy, good stuff, right? And so what we can now say, main.gd here, what we can actually say is this is going to be an array now. It's not going to be an array of wave, it's going to be an array of type of wave. This is going to break this all together, but we can come back to that in a second. So this is going to be an array of waves, and what I will do is I will create a new wave. Let's just quickly do this now. Go back to Godot. Do you know, I don't like having this in a separate thing. It's throwing me. I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to get used to having it in a separate window. We're gonna create a new resource of type wave, and we'll call this. Let's just call this wave 0. Create a, and in resources we'll call this. Let's call it wave 1. Let's call it wave 01. Shall we? Wave 01. Save. And what you'll see here is you've got your array, and it's empty at the moment. And we will say, right, okay, let's put our resources in there. Let's put, what do you think, 6 enemies for now? Good stuff. We've got our enemy 6 times there. Now, yes, it starts at 0, which throws me, so it ends up at 5. So now what we can do in our main function here is we need to go back to main here and just say, which is curious to me that it's still showing that. Let's just change. Let's have a quick look at the script. Did I save it? I think I did. Enemy wave. Type wave. That should have changed it. Why hasn't that done that? Just going to control. Probably because that's throwing an error there. I wonder if that's going to be kind now. There we go. Right, so we're going to clear this. It does say of type wave, and what we can do for now, we'll just say, where did it go? Where did it go? Bundle the dictionary size 9. I don't know what that is. Export var enemy. Also, I'm going to call it enemy waves as well. It's really not happy about this. Let's just comment all that out for a second, shall we? Like that. So just get it to, and then we'll just put pass in there as well, right? All right, there we go. Now I hope. We're still getting errors. Failed to resource the type enemy settings resource because this editor resource only accepts wave and its derivatives. Let's have a quick look at that. No, I never said you. I never did. Sorry, it is right there. Like I'm just being a bit blind. It's here. So array of and what we can now do is we'll just set that to 1. Pop that in there, and then grab our new wave 01, pop that in there. So far so good, but it's not going to do anything right now. And what we need to do here is we just say for W in range dot size. Okay, and let's just do print W. This is going to do nothing right now. There we go. We just get rid of pass now. So we've got a wave. Nothing's happening. We need to go through each one. Slide that to the right. And it's saying 0 there. Yes, that's because we need enemy waves 0, don't we? Enemy waves W. Okay, try again. There we go. It's saying it's a resource. So we're off to a good start there. All right, now what we can do, I know at the moment, and then we can go for here. We need to start pushing these in a bit. Yep, need to be a little bit careful here because some of this stuff I've yeah. So that'll be enemy waves W dot size. Yeah, and then await, and then actually what I'll do here is I'll say var enemy wave, which is a array of type enemy settings, equals enemy waves W. And now I think that should now work out the box as it did before. Now what's this one here? Enemy settings. Yeah, that's fine. Interesting. Was that there before? Right. Because that's adding to the group. I think that was one of the problems. Cannot assign value of type wave to enemy wave. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I think what we need to say is, sorry, W dot enemies. That's it, right? So that, yes, because of course the actual enemy wave itself, the wave itself here is the enemies, right? That's the array of enemy settings there. Right. Hope this is making sense. That might work out the box. Let's find out. Showing it, and it's yeah, we've got that bloody problem with it then popping around, and I'll have a look at that later. But you can see that we are in a much better place. That is working nicely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. But what's going to happen is if we have multiple waves in our main here, it's just, let's do it. Let's create another wave. Let's just duplicate that, and we'll call it wave 02. And in that wave, we will have double click it here, and then again we'll just add the let's add the power enemies, right? So we'll just change that to power enemy.res on each one. What's going to happen is they're just going to follow each other. What we really want to do is have a state that states that stops it after the wave is finished. I don't know why that's flicking out like that, because I thought we'd agreed that was that was not going to be a problem. Okay. So what you're going to see, I think, is you'll see these finish. And once these are finished, the next wave will come through straight away. It does not. Let's have a quick look at why that is. I guess that's not a bad thing. Did we add it? Oh, we didn't add the wave. Sorry. So in our waves here, enemy waves, we need to change this to 2. And then we'll add wave 2 dot resolution there. That will now make them. I like the there we go, and you can see straight away it's actually started spawning these guys, which is not what we want. We want it to be able to stop once it's completed the first wave. So what we'll do now is we'll think about how to add some states into our main. So a little button up here that says start wave. So let's have a go at that now. if we go to wave here, what we'll do is we'll add a new state chart to it. If I click on here and then click on the plus and then state chart, and for some reason it's down there, never quite understood why. Okay, and then it's going to say, right, what we'll do is for now we'll just have two states, one that says wave active, wave inactive, or something like that. So let's create a new now if we click on the 3D, we'll get the necessary here, which is, and we want the compound state, and then we'll also want, under the compound state, we'll want a couple of atomic states, two of those, and we'll say state complete, which is a bit of a lie, and state active. Oh no, let's not call it state, right? We don't want to call it state, do we? Let's call it active. I made this mistake before, didn't I? Don't add the word state to it, and complete. Right, and we will have just flick those around, and there we go. And we're going to start in, if I click on here, we're going to start in the complete state. Okay. And in our main here on the 3D, let's just zoom out a little bit. There's nothing there, but we're going to add a button to it. So let's just add a button. That's the one. It's going to just have the word start wave. All right. And then it's initially going to be disabled. No, sorry, enabled rather. Enabled, because we won't have started it yet. Okay, good. Right. We're off to a reasonable start. Now, what we do want to do at the moment is the whole spawn thing is not working in a way that's it's basically starting as soon as the game starts. So we want to have a way of saying if active or not. Right. So let's go back to our script here, and we will change this spawn wave here. And what we'll do is we'll say it starts in complete. So for now it's going to, then the thing's going to be active, and then we will add this into a function. To complete here, we'll say we'll add a button. On the button click, we will add the button click itself will actually add will change the state to active. So let's just do that. Where's the spawn wave call? There it is. Let's comment that out for now, and then in the button itself, which I've now, there we go, activity button, we'll click on node signals. That's it, signals, and then we can't be on the right button. It's this one here, isn't it? So we'll call it new state button. So start wave button, and then button. We'll click on button press. Click on connect. On start wave button press connect. We need to add the a transition here. Back to 3D to transit to. This is called it's called active, and then in the inspector here, we're going to call the event to active. And then that's good. Why is that complaining? Because we haven't assigned the state it needs to go to, which is active. There we go. Right, and then active. What this is going to do here? Let's just get the button finished. Sorry, let's get the button finished. This is going to do $state chart .send event to active. All right, and what that's going to do then under active here, under node signals, we'll say state entered. It's going to do a couple of things. Yeah, fine, exactly. It's going to do. It's going to say $start wave button dot disabled equals true. All right, and then underscore spawn wave. Now this isn't quite right because it's going to do everything all at once, right? So now let's click on that. Let's have a look, see how close we are. So at the moment, nothing's happening. That is disabled, which is upsetting. I was thinking that should be enabled to start with. So why isn't that actually? Did I set disabled on startup? I probably did, didn't I? Let me quickly check on 3D. Start wave button. Inspector disabled. Yes, we don't want it disabled, do we? We want it enabled. Sorry for those that spotted that early. Right, so nothing's happening. Exactly what we're hoping for. And then we'll click on Start Wave. And now I hope... Here we go. And I think that's not going to block anything because the await function actually gives control back. So we're not actually don't have to worry about the physics or anything like that. I'm going to get annoyed with the things there doing that, but not right now. I'm not. It's going to just be one of those things we're going to have to live with for a little while. Okay, so that's good. But the problem is, of course, then it starts the wave. So how do we know when a wave is complete? Okay, well, the first thing we're going to have to do is rather than have it just loop through each of the waves, the first thing we're going to want to be able to do is actually, in the spawn wave here, we're going to want to reference to the wave that it needs to spawn. So let's go back to our scripts here, and what we'll do, rather than just have our, if we go to main, that's it, and then click for spawn wave, there we go. This isn't going to look at the W here. What we'll do is we'll say, up here we'll have a variable called current wave index. Type int equals 0, right? And then we will have, that's not, we'll get rid of that, and then we can just start doing this, because what we'll now actually say, right, and then enemy waves, and that shall say current wave index. What was it called? What did I call it? Sorry. Current wave index, yes. Okay, good. And then what we'll have here at the end of it is we'll just set it to complete. And that will increment the wave level. Now, what I'm a bit concerned about that is if I do, because the first time it runs, it's going to set, we could set that potentially to -1. And then when this first gets called, because it's starting in the complete state, which is a bit of a lie, maybe we should have an initialization state. Maybe that's what we should do. Have another state, 3D. We'll have a new state, bring it up, call it initial or something like that. And that's the one that we actually want to start in. And then what we'll do, go back to our 3D here. Compound state here starts, its initial state is going to be initial. And then what that can do is that will set it to what it's already set to 0, isn't it? So that's okay. And then the complete here will have the active option as well. So okay, so that's fine. So I think we're okay. And then when it runs to complete, what we'll do here in the, I can't remember if I put a signal for it, right? So we'll say state entered here, connect main. Okay, and then we'll just say current wave index plus equals 1. Dollar start wave button dot disabled equals false. So what this is going to do now, when it's spawned all of the enemies, that button's going to become re-enabled. This isn't quite what we want, but we're getting closer, right? So let's just double check if that is disabled as false. That's it, and then we will, and it's complete. That's it, and clicking that button will move it to active again. Okay, good. Right, this might work. Let's see. Let's pop one in there, click on Start Wave. Interesting that hasn't been disabled, and it hasn't worked. That's because we need to add a button on here as well to active. So this is the thing that caught me out before. You need to have transitions on each of them. So this is active as well. Like that, and it's to active, and it goes to active. Okay, and now that should work. So initial state, if it runs the event to active, we should be good. Okay, let's try it. Okay, click on Start Wave. Yes, it's disabled it. That's a good start. What I think is going to happen, curiously, I think it's actually moved it to the second wave, which is annoying, I think. Okay, these are all going to spawn. I probably should have done less of them, shouldn't I? Okay, this hasn't worked quite as I expected. I was expecting that to become active once they've all spawned. Probably because when we go to the main script, we need to change this to complete, right? We need to have one of those to complete. And that's going to go to Complete to complete. And then we are in our script. Spawn here. Once it's finished, it's going to $state chart dot send event to complete. And the to complete function, complete here. Have we got any state entered? That's it. It's going to say, sorry, on complete state entered. Here we go. There we go. Disable was false. Right. I think this is going to work. The only thing I noticed though was that it does seem to go straight to the second wave, which is annoying me. And I think that's because I clicked start wave here, and that's therefore moved it to the second wave. We might have to put -1 on the starting wave, which is a bit annoying. Let's just try that. I have put -1. Let's try 0. Maybe that was the problem. I click on start wave, sorry. Ah, that's better. Right, okay, so now I'm hoping that when it finishes, that will become active. The start wave will become active. There we go. Now, it's not perfect, obviously, because we really want these guys to be gone before before that start wave button becomes active. So let's have a little think about how we can do that. Okay, the way I'm going to tackle this is we're going to, when we instantiate the enemy here, we're actually going to we're going to listen for the enemy finished signal that, if you may remember, that the basic enemy has here, an enemy finished. We'll have some sort of counter, okay, that listens to see if all of the enemies are finished. So we're going to have two variables now. We'll have a variable called wave spawned equals false, and var I've typed bool, and var enemies remaining, right, equals 0. And every time we do this here, we'll have a let's just set that to false. It will just say wave spawned equals false there, and I've lost it. Enemies remaining, sorry. Enemies remaining equals 0. So we'll do that every time we start a new wave, just to make sure. And when the wave's complete, we're going to do that there. We'll say wave spawned equals true. And then we will also have, here we'll have a listener. Sorry, initially we'll say enemies remaining plus equals 1. And enemy2 dot connect, what was it called? Enemy finished, I think it was, wasn't it? Just double check. Enemy finished, yeah. Comma check wave, something like that, right? Okay, and then we'll just here. So then we're doing a couple of things. Once it's all complete, let's set the wave to spawn to true, and let's just have a func called. What's wrong with this bit, by the way? Yeah, okay. Check. Oh, let's make it an underscore, shall we? So check wave, and we'll say enemies remaining minus equals 1 if enemies remaining it's less than, let's just say less than or equal to 0, and wave spawned, as in the wave completed. Then we can send this message here. I think that might work. Let's give that a go. Okay, so what we're saying here, yeah, we're adding the enemies here, and every time an enemy gets removed, and an enemy can be finished when it despawns or when it's destroyed. So I think that's going to work. Let's just print here. Like print got here. What's wrong? Identify check wave not declared in the current scope. Oh no, because it's underscore check wave, isn't it? Yeah. Anything else? No, it's happy. Okay. Right, now, I hope we need to start the wave, don't we? Let's start the wave off. Okay. I should, of course, have removed, not put these guys here. The start wave is still there. It's still disabled. That's good. It's got here as well. Can you see that in the bottom left? Right over there. So you see that. That's worked a treat. You can see now the start wave has become visible again. So let's just try that one more time. and I won't actually. No, I won't put any down. I'll just click start wave, and I'll fast forward to the end and just see what happens. And you can see that has absolutely worked. This is really good news. I get the feeling that there could be something that could catch us out here. If I just pop that there, like again, there's definitely one problem here. One is that once this wave is completed here, if I click start wave again, it's going to throw an index array out of bounds. But I think you get the general idea of where we are now with this. We have the ability to have multiple waves as a resource, and we can indeed have multiple levels, and then multiple levels have multiple waves. Let's just see how this goes. And this guy's destroying them, which is a little annoying. I was hoping some of them might get away. They're a little slower, but I think. Do you know what? I think, having said all that, I think one of them might get away. Let's see, shall we? Yeah, that last. Oh, maybe. Let's put another boy down so he can't get away. And there we go, and start wave appears. Perfect. I'm going to click start wave now, but because there is no wave 3, I think that's going to blow up. Yeah, there we go. Get index 2 on base array wave. That's exactly what we expected. So we're really in a good place now, and I appreciate that I was flying through code there, and ultimately I made a few kind of mess ups, so I do appreciate you following through that. I did kind of wing this a bit. I am, like I say, tucked in with a whole bunch of boxes, but I did want to get a tutorial out. And like I said, I will, of course, put the code into GitHub for you to review and enjoy. Folks, until next time, I will look forward to seeing you then. In the next tutorial, we'll be talking about things like resources and how to actually earn the ability to put the turrets down rather than just having them for free. Alongside perhaps a little bit more structure with the waves themselves, so you can't just keep spawning them, and reloading the scene and things like that. So there's a few things we're going to do. Like I say, we're almost at the end of this tutorial now. A few more things just to tidy up, and then I'm going to move on to some more generic tutorials for you to enjoy. Again, thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, folks, have a good one. Shark out.